Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, 7:50 a.m. here. Price of BTC currently at 85.50. It's not really doing anything, just chopping around sideways between this range of about $8,700 and down to about 8,500. Okay, so nothing to be done here in terms of taking trades or anything. All I'm really looking for is whether this thing is going to break out further. And the breakout, I'm hoping we get a nice hourly candle close above maybe 86.50, 8,700 for a long. Okay, so that's on the 1 hour. And then maybe for a short position, we need a breakdown past 84.50. Okay, and I'll show you exactly why I'm thinking of that. Okay, so first things first, folks, yesterday in my video, I stated that, over here, right, we were actually looking at this particular area, and I was looking to short here again while this was happening. Okay, and I actually did short, and I want to tell you guys that I was wrong in shorting. Okay, but then what happened, once I saw this bullish engulfing happen, I stopped myself out, closed my position, and I went long. Okay, this is the thing that you have to learn about trading, is that you don't want to marry a bias or a direction. All right, you trade the technicals as they are. Sometimes you're going to be right, sometimes you're going to be wrong. Okay, and in this case, I want to show you guys that once I closed out my short position at a small loss right there, okay, I then got into a long, and as you can see, I want to show you guys 8334 was my entry, 8433 was my exit, and there's my P&L. I don't often show my P&L just because I don't think it's necessary. This is really a phenomenon that's only sort of prevalent in crypto because people like to show off their gains and stuff. I don't really know why. I personally think that, those who have it, right, don't really show it, and those who show it don't really have it. Okay, so that's really my philosophy. And whenever I post proofs, I just post it like this, where I want to show you guys exactly where my entry is, where my exit is, so you feel safe that, hey, this person is taking this trade with me, right? So if you suffer a loss, I suffer a loss. Okay, so then mostly, for the most part, whenever I'm posting proofs and stuff, or whenever I'm posting positions, I show you guys exactly where my entries and exits are. All right, just so you know that I'm taking this trade when I say I'm taking it. Okay, so with that being said, I wrote up this move right here, and I closed off at 84.50. Now you're probably wondering, like, okay, why did you close so early? Why didn't you just ride it up here? Well, because that wasn't part of my game plan. Okay, my game plan was simply this. I thought that this EQ right here would get rejected and we'd fall back down. Didn't happen. Then I saw this candle moving up further and further, and I thought, okay, well, where's this thing going to go? For the most part, I knew that there was resistance right here, this black line that you see, 84.50 or so right there, right? So I figured, you know what? Okay, I'll ride this thing up. Maybe this is going to be a big short squeeze, and it's going to stop out these people or scare these people who shorted over here and have their stops up here, right? So I just wrote it out to resistance right there, and I closed my position. I didn't know that this whole thing was going to go, another $250 or $300 higher, but it didn't matter to me because that wasn't part of my game plan, right? So sometimes you have to give up profits like this excessive move right here, because it's not part of your game plan, right? And that's okay. Okay, I will probably get another opportunity if this keeps going further up. Okay, but for now, what I'm really doing is waiting for this range to resolve itself. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know if it's going to break down straight away after this big short squeeze, or are we going to just go up further and further like this wave count that I drew, So technically this wave count is, still in the process of wave 3, or we might be pulling back for wave 4. So this is 1, 2, 3. Wave 4, I would expect to pull back at the top of this trend line. This trend line comes from this touch and this touch right here, and it's looking like it wants to turn this trend line into support right there, right? So if it turns this trend line into support right there, and this horizontal, which was previously resistance, now into support, okay, then we could potentially push further. Now this 5, okay, this 5 wave that you see right here comes from, this all the way up here, all right? It comes from this touch all the way in beginning of August around 12,300, over here around 10,900 in September, and now the wave 5 could potentially go as high as that. But I also think wave 5 could just end right there too in that red block, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so you could see that this particular green candle right here, so if people shorted or bought up here, right, the reason these green candles are kind of created in the middle of drops like this, or this consolidation in the middle of drops and then it drops further, is because there are buyers present in this area and in this area. Okay, and most buyers are probably underwater so far, right? Or people who are shorting right here based on these buyers too. Because when price stalls, it gives you an option to be able to short this area or short this area and keep your stop up here in this red block. Why? Because whenever you got in, right, you want to keep your stop above a previous lower high. So in this case, it would be this red block. So if price shoots up for wave 5 up here, it would effectively stop out all these, short positions who have their stop set right here. And people who shorted in this area definitely had their stops up here in this particular area right here. Okay, but those already got stopped by this movement yesterday that we had, right? So now we're trying to figure out, is this thing going to push further up or is it just going to dump back down? I would say at least for now, it looks a bit more likely that we might push up just a little bit further. Doesn't necessarily mean we have to go up here, okay? But it is an option, right? Because we did break through some critical resistance levels, which is this area right here, which is 82.20, this area right here, which is about 84.50 or so. And then on the daily chart, we broke through this resistance right here on the daily, which is about, $8,400 as well, okay? I think we actually broke above the 50 fib too, as you can see, right? So this is pretty good action that we saw yesterday. You can see that volume is slowly picking up on the buy side right here in these two candles that you saw right there. So that's a good sign, okay? So we could push out a bit further, but here's where we're limited, okay? We already have the 200 moving average right there, right? 200 moving average, which is this red line coming up. Typically, there's going to be a lot of occasions where you get to short the rejection of the 200 moving average. And just like I would feel much safer shorting here with my stop up here around 87.50, okay? But I kind of want to wait. And the reason why I want to wait is because when we saw this big short squeeze coming in, right, it kind of eviscerated a lot of the bears. And I think that if you want more fuel up, right, what you typically do is you stall price in a particular area like this where you kind of give the indication that, hey, we might just dump back down, right? And you make more people short. And you keep making people short and basically training them into a mindset of only shorting. And this is what's wrong with most traders, is that they're so kind of hell-bent on having one particular mindset and bias that when prices turn around, they don't react in the appropriate direction. Okay, they keep thinking that they have to short and they have to short and eventually they'll be right. But what's really happening is they keep getting stopped out, they keep bleeding their capital, when all they really had to do was just flip their bias for the time being and say, okay, whatever, I'll just ride this thing up to wherever it stops, wherever I see a rejection as per, a daily time frame, or strong rejection confirmation as per the 4-hour time frame, which hasn't happened yet. So it makes you think that, well, is shorting the wisest thing right now? Not really. I mean, it is wise as per, the 200 moving average that I showed you on the daily rejecting price, right? And the fact that we're so close to the top of this range right here, which is this black line, but that doesn't mean that we can't push out a bit further, right? And maybe get you a better entry for your short, okay? So anyway, with that being said, I'm kind of neutral right now, just waiting. After my long position that I had yesterday, I'm glad I took profit. I would have no idea this would go this much higher. And if it wants to break out further, I'll take another long. It's not a big deal. I don't really care, okay? Now the oscillators right here, again, 4-hour really into overbought still. It's flipping back around into this bearish cross already. So, and double topping obviously. And then the RSI again up here as well, overbought, flipping back down just a little bit. But again, we have to see if, this thing wants to move up higher, and then a good hourly close above 86.75, $8,700 will give me a good indication if I want to go long again. And my first target will be this red block, which is around $8,800 or so. So it's not a big movement, maybe just another $100, $125 up, but it's enough to secure some gains and not be caught on the wrong side of the trade if price gets rejected right here, or if you're trying to short, price just shoots up past, right? Here's my other chart, and this is again where I want to tell you that I was wrong in thinking that this would be a descending triangle and it would break down. Though it was a descending triangle, and though it was sort of a bear pennant that was playing about, what it really looked like now, okay, that I look at it from this perspective, is this. It's sort of a Wyckoff accumulation, okay? Now I'm reluctant to sort of call this a true accumulation because this right here happened on the back of a short squeeze, okay? This wasn't really organic buying. It was more so, inorganic selling that went into buying, okay? So what I mean by that is, typically when you have sort of this Wyckoff accumulation, it more or less looks like this down here, okay? This right here, to me, a long period of accumulation, which was about 3 months right here, right? Actually 4 months. This to me is accumulation, okay? And if you go back over here, it looks the same, right? This is your preliminary support, selling climax, automatic rally, secondary test in phase B. Then you have your spring, which is a dip down, test, last point of supply, back up, and then push through, okay? This, to me, sort of looks like that in a smaller time frame, but I'm not quite sure yet, okay? So technically right now what we may be in is over here, okay, which is, where is it? Which is right here. We might be in the show of strength, right, which is consolidation above this previous resistance right here. Okay, that's kind of what's happening if you see it right here, right? This was all previous resistance. Consolidation is happening above this resistance. So a show of strength, and we might have another push up. There are higher chances, in all honesty, that this thing will push up a bit higher based on just basic technicals of this trend line being broken, this resistance being broken. So this is why I'm a bit more inclined to long for now, and I don't want to trade against this trend that's been going on for the last 3 days right here, right? Just because it's unwise. But I do want to ultimately go back to shorting, okay? And I want to tell you why. All right, so if you look at this red block right here that you see, this was all support, 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 right? There's a pretty high chance that price could sort of swing back around, hit the same area as resistance, and then push back down. Because I think most people nowadays are, at least, the people I've seen across Twitter, are so hell-bent on shorting, and they think that markets just move straight down or straight up. Okay, they don't realize that markets can go sideways. They could push back up and then down, and then push back down farther, trapping more people, and then push back up. Okay, but ultimately, I still think the direction will be down, and I think at some point we'll make it down to about 618. I'm a bit more confident on that, but if we cross above, say, 9,500, 9,750, I'm way less confident that that's going to happen. But until we're meeting this red block, I am more inclined on shorting for the longer term as in at least the next couple of weeks, maybe the next month or two. Okay, but in the near term, when I'm looking at the next couple of days, I think this thing could keep climbing up a little bit more. Okay, so you could see, I gave you an example of the smaller sort of accumulation period that may be happening on Wyckoff. Based on this Wyckoff accumulation schematic, right? Please go read up on it if you don't understand exactly what I'm talking about. There's a ton of information. I've even done a post on it in the Cryptosomniac Trading View channel. I'm not an expert on Wyckoff. I've read about it a while back. I've seen it in play actually in equities. I also think that it's very common in crypto as well, because Wyckoff is nothing but, again, just like all technicals, it's nothing but psychology at play, you know, in the form of candles. Okay, this is all just human psychology at work, right? There's nothing special to it. There's no, you know, this is not rocket science. It is an art, it is a skill, and it takes work to learn it, but it's not impossible to learn. Okay, it's not also impossible to understand to some degree where the market could potentially move, right? Whether it's up or down, how high or low, or how high or how low it goes. That's a bit different. Okay, but you know, for the most part, we understand the general possibilities and probabilities that price can take, and that's what we trade off of. And that's also kind of what Wyckoff is, right? Understanding how human psychology is working is at play in the tradable markets. Okay. Now another chart that I want to show you guys is this, you know, bear versus bull case for Bitcoin. I showed this many times, and I want to show this again because, you know, I drew this back in the day around June, right? Gold as a chart. You can see right here, this is a monthly chart, and I stated that gold has had the same bubble popping structure that Bitcoin has, you know, recently, right? So this run up that we saw for gold right here in early 2016 or late 2016 is what we just saw for Bitcoin all the way up here at the top in 2019 in June, which is that 13K top, right? And then we had a big retrace for gold back to the 786 fib, which again brings BTC somewhere around $5,400. This is why I have that red block. And then I have another chart like this, okay? That's this one right here, which is the Tokyo Stock Exchange, right? The Nikkei, same thing, big bubble that, you know, went to crazy highs in the late 80s, capitulated in the early 2000s, went up for a massive rally. People thought that, oh my God, this thing is going to go to all-time highs or, you know, new highs, and then boom, comes back down again, retest the previous lows around 2010 or 11. And again, that's kind of what we have right now, which is, I personally think that we're going to come back to somewhere around this region right here, 70.5 to 786 fib, or we might honestly go back way down here, which is $3,100 too. Okay. Now the caveat to this is, if this is all we needed, which they, you know, quick sort of terminal shakeout, reaccumulation, and then push back up, I am completely wrong. And this asset will be by far one of the most historical moves, or historically different moves, than any asset has ever seen. Now, I truly believe in Bitcoin, and I love Bitcoin for what it's trying to do to save the world and basically, you know, bank the unbanked, you know, but it's still an asset that's tradable. It still trades off, you know, human psychology, and most human psychology at the end of the day comes down to basic, you know, greed and fear, right? And especially in tradable markets like this. So if that's the case, you know, you have to think about where the money is, where the greed is, where the fear is. And I think the ultimate greed is going to be when prices push back up here, people are going to get greedy, and the most pain to be inflicted with fear will be down here, right, in this particular area. And this should be that blue box right there that I'm showing you right now, which is this range right here. This should be the final stop. Okay, if it doesn't stop here, then we're definitely going to go down to 3,100. There's no question about it. Okay, because typically for Bitcoin, you know, retracing almost 61.8 or all the way down to 786 fib is the last stand, or else it just puts in, you know, a deeper sort of retracement. And we've never really seen a lower low in Bitcoin in terms of, you know, larger daily, weekly time frames, right? So it would be really interesting if, you know, people's pants got scared off if we went all the way to 3,100 or even lower, which I really don't want to happen. Okay. Again, if you really want to come learn all this stuff, folks, just come join the Cryptosomniac community, technical analysis course right there, the Advantage program right there. Okay. And you can see obviously all our trades, the gains reviews that I just showed you earlier. I mean, you know, these are people who have been trading with us for quite a while. They really love this community, and it's not even just, you know, the trades, right? I do analysis a couple times a day, like multiple times a day. I post updates. I keep the community informed. And like I said, I post trades as they're happening, so you can see that I'm taking and making money with you guys or losing money with you guys. Again, none of this is financial advice, but it's the best I can do to show you exactly what I'm doing to make money in this market and how I manage risk and how I take profit and where I set my stops. So this way you're not left in the dark of exactly what's happening. And we have constant communication with myself, my other analysts, Jordan as well. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching. All right, you now have levels to watch, you have areas to watch in terms of what to be looking for. Again, still floating sideways. It looks like prices are dipping just a little bit right now. So yeah, folks, thank you so much, and I'll see you all soon in the Cryptosomniac Advantage community. All right, and message me as soon as you join so I can get you the roles and credentials to be able to check out all these locked channels. All right, cheers.